Order in the court. Order in the court. We're here to discuss on the docket today, Bucky Irving versus Chase Brown. I hereby anoint all of you jurors, and we'll have some counsel dial into the phone line after your boy presents a little bit of evidence on this case. I try before you, Bucky Irving versus this man Chase Brown. Both are show favorites. Both are absolute gems, and the phone lines will soon be open. File on in. The Fantasy Football Show Court Edition. Fantasy Football Court Edition begins right now.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios. It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
Isn't that the court music or whatever? All right, we're here. Order in the court. Calm down in the chat. We're here to discuss the case between Chase Brown and Bucky Irving. Who has more value walking into 2025? Now, there's more to discuss than output. We have to talk about ADP. What kind of angle are we taking on this case? Is it who would you rather just own in a vacuum? Who would you rather own at cost? The good news about this debate, and some debates will be different and have to account for all those questions. The good news about this debate is they pretty much are projecting to go right around the same territory, meaning you're probably drafting him at the exact same spot you're drafting him. If someone concocted a trade Bucky for Chase Brown or Chase Brown for Bucky, it would be a reasonable offer. So I think this will be a pretty cut and dry type of case here in evaluation because of the ADPs are consistent. If you were talking about like a drafting of Lamar Jackson versus maybe a BTJ, we'd have potentially a problem because you'd have to evaluate how are we looking at this? Are we looking at this from a pure draft perspective? Are we looking at this from just a points perspective? Of course, a quarterback could score more. This case is very clear cut in terms of what are we asking? The question at hand is Chase Brown better than Bucky Irving? Is Bucky Irving better than Chase Brown? Running back 10, running back 14. And dare I throw a little evidence into the mix right from the jump and just say Bucky really didn't get full go usage until, you could look at it a couple different ways, but if I pull up just one league right now and I take a gander at the player leaders, go to running backs, go to 2024 stats, sort it. Here it is, running backs. Bucky Irving is, as I pointed out there, 14. Okay, so that's accurate across multiple leagues. Chase Brown, 10. This is a totally different league. Bucky Irving, looking at the data, Bucky Irving got 9 carries in week 1, 7 carries in week 2, 9 carries in week 3. These are red line numbers. The columns are all redded out no matter what app you're looking at in terms of how productive they were. 10 carries in week number 4, 9 carries in week number 5. Now 9 carries, it's no no joke. That's more than backup material. He's getting borderline 50-50 workload divide. Okay, he got a 14 carry game in week number 6 against New Orleans where he had 81 yards and a touchdown. That's kind of where he really kind of emerged and popped out on the map because his 52 or 62 yards in week 1, his 22 yards in week 2, his 70 yards in week 3, we were eyeballing that. We're thinking, okay, this is, a lot of upside here. It wasn't until his week 4 outing, 10 carries, 49 yards, and a touchdown, we started to piqued our interest. We started running this guy out there as one of the best ads. Well, really before that. But that's when he started to really capture the attention of everybody. Then in week number 5, he had 9 carries for 44 yards. Week number 6, he had 81 and a touch, 14 carries. But then he goes back to 9 carries, 7 carries, all the way through week 9. You could essentially argue that Bucky Irving didn't get even remotely close to starter volume at all. Even like a 60-40 split at all until after week number 9. Walking into San Francisco in week number 10, right before the week 11 bye, 13 carries, 73 yards and a tutty. The next week, week 12, the next game after the bye, 12 carries, 88 and a touch. And let me screenshot this because it gets remarkable. It really, and I need to show the evidence to the court instead of just reading it off. So let me send this over to my screen. Bailiff, can you transfer this over to the bench, please? Let me send this to my bailiff. Is Denny watching, by the way? Because Denny is technically the official bailiff of the court. Here is the game log for Bucky Irving. This is remarkable. Again, you've been hearing me say it. There's, week 1, 9, 7, 9, 10, 9, 14, 9, 9, 7. Pretty much red line down the entire attempt column. And then that week 10 San Francisco game, this row right here, 13, 12 carries, 25 carries, 4. That's when he got banged up. 15, 16, 20, 19. For this guy to be running back 14 on really not even half a season, he didn't become a starter until double-digit weeks. Look at these numbers. Look at the yards per carry, 7.3, 6.08, 7.8, 4.25, 4.65, 4.68. The touchdowns galore. Not even greenlit in the target. I cut it off here, but the target column, he had 2 games, one of which was week 18. 3 games. 2 games if you don't include week 18, where he had a green column of targets, 7 and 6. Everything else is 2 and 3, and he's not even used fully. And that's a potential red flag. This is something that maybe he doesn't bring to the table. Maybe, maybe not. Then again, we look at his totals here. This man may have got more receptions, 54. Probably had more targets. We'll look at that in a second. But look who had more yards. 397 versus 360 on less receptions, but no receiving touchdowns. This man had 4. It's a tough dilemma. I think the only thing you could say right here is this man finished on a whole nother level above Chase Brown. Chase Brown played it more consistent across the board because he started after, I think, 3 weeks of football. Let me pull up Chase Brown's game log. So Bucky Irving, 1037 rushing. Let me cover up Chase Brown. Don't look at him yet. Okay, you focus on this. You focus on the facts, young man. Running back 14, 1033 rushing, 7 tutties, 45 for 397, 0 receiving touchdowns. But if we go to Chase Brown, and let me put Chase Brown, who was running back 10, and he too didn't start until handful of games. Well, week 4. So he almost went a full month of football without starting. And remember how laughable it was when we did the whole Chase Brown, and then it didn't start off hot. 3 weeks of football where we're sitting here going, Chase Brown like morons. And everybody's like, Smitty, what a dumb thing you started in the offseason. You picked the worst guy because he's not even starting. Chase Brown was supposed to be this magnificent player, Smitty, this absolute gem. And here you are, barking up the wrong tree. This guy's not even doing anything. And I'll admit, I was a little bit. Let me put Bucky's numbers over there. Let's cover up Bucky now so that you can focus on Chase Brown's side of this case. 3 carries, 4 carries, 7 carries. I look like a fool. I look like a complete moron. I was taking laps really coming out of week 3. Chase Brown, nothing. Hey guys, Chase Brown's going to be so good this year. Chase Brown, let's all say it together over and over, all off season long in unison. What's he do? 3 carries, 4 carries, 7 carries. He's a backup. It wasn't pretty the first 3 weeks, I admit, but we held strong. And as Daniel just said in the chat, we told you. Daniel's correct.
Let him cook.
Boy, did we tell you. Look what he did. Running back 10, 990, 7 TDs, 54, 360, and 4 receiving TDs. That's 11 TDs for those of you keeping track. And you look at it, again, 3 weeks off, he didn't play. And you could even say week 15, like he could have got more totes. Week 5, or I'm sorry, say week 15. Week 4, he could have got more totes. Week 5, he could have got more totes. Week 6, he could have got more totes. Week 8, he got 12. You know, he does get more receptions, but if you look over the target column, he's not getting a ton in this stretch that we're talking about. So if we're going to say, oh, we don't count Bucky's week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, week 6, week 7, because he was only getting 9 and 10 and 9 and 8 and 9 carries. Well, what about Chase Brown? Just because he got 10 and 12 and 12 and 13, what, we count those? It's really hard to judge this situation. And Chase Brown was so good from week 4 on, but sporadically, you know, like that 46-yard Baltimore game right there. There's also receiving numbers that I didn't put up. So it's only fair if we're evaluating his body work to put those weeks up. So let me throw those weeks up on the screen so we can dig deeper into each of these weeks versus judging one low rushing total game. And we're missing this receiving action that he absolutely, you know, did good work in, that kind of wipes out the bad rushing line maybe. Okay, so here's his receiving numbers. Here's his rushing numbers. They are now both on screen. So actually, yeah, let's do it like this. So if we look at weeks 1, 2, 3, obviously nothing. Week number 4, 15 carries, 80 yards, 2 touchdowns. Week number 4, he had 12 receiving yards, no touchdowns. Week 5, he had a touchdown, only 8 yards, but he did have a touchdown in week 5. And then in week 5, he had 46 yards. So he just kind of balanced it out. I think we got to assume, though, week 5 or week 4 on, he was a starter. He may have not got the carries that we wanted, or it's only a little bit more than Bucky, but he was being used. He was catching some touchdowns. But really, it was only one game. I mean, these yards are not very good at the start. 12, 7 yards, 12 yards, 8 yards, 11 yards, 9 yards, 2 yards, 1 touchdown. Can we really say that Chase Brown was used as a starter full-time from week 4 on? Maybe it is harder to argue that. This is not good. Look at his receiving numbers from week 9. The exact time frame Bucky Irving decided to jump on his horse and get going. Week 10 is when Bucky got going. Week 9, there's a stark difference between Chase Brown's weeks 1 through 8 and Chase Brown's weeks 9 through 17 in the receiving department. That's quite a difference. Look at the targets, 11 targets, 7, 8, 3 tutties in this time frame right here. 37 yards, 52 yards, 57 yards, 30 yards, 65. Totally different player. Like, I think if we're going to say Bucky wasn't fully on his horse at all until week 10, we can say that Chase Brown wasn't completely unlocked because half of his game wasn't even utilized. So we can't say, I've concluded, we cannot say week 4 on was Chase Brown's season. It really wasn't until week 9. That was when they used his full arsenal of potential skill sets. It wasn't until week 9. He was half used. He was used in a committee of sorts, if you will, because he's only being used half time to his capacity. This is a guy that rushed for 900 yards right here at the bottom of the screen versus Bucky's 1,000. So this guy is more of a hybrid Chase Brown than Bucky. Bucky's more of a grinded out between the tackles, but very good receiving back as well. They need to utilize him more. But this is a hybrid. If he's only used, and this is Chase Brown's numbers on screen, if he's only used like a actual Alvin Kamara, Christian McCaffrey in week 9, we can't count weeks 1 through 8. This is a tough case. I think I need to turn to some expert witnesses and some council members on the phone line to try and figure out which side we should be leaning on. I will say and conclude this. We called a mistrial on the last fantasy football court when we argued BTJ versus London. There was not enough evidence to coin one of them the more elite player. There was good arguments for both sides. There was concerns for both sides, but both have the potential, BTJ and London, to be top 5 wide receivers next season. The question is there enough separation? Can all the council members, the attorneys that call in, the deep fake attorneys that call into this channel, can you debate and provide this court evidence enough to deem one of these guys a clear-cut winner. If not, I will deem a mistrial. Phone lines open. Dial in to the court. Dial into the court.
It's time for fantasy football. Court.
Let me real quickly. We got to put this this music up on screen for when we're talking. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. Where is this at? Last time yesterday we didn't have this music at all, and I was searching for it. I couldn't find it anywhere, and now it's playing on this, and I just got to locate it real quick. There it is. Okay, let me put this to the very top of. Okay, so let's go over here. Aaron's calling in. Aaron, you are live on the Fantasy Football Show. Jordan, you're live. Jordan, please hold. Aaron, are you a counsel for Bucky or for Chase Brown? Aaron?
Mr. Irving.
Okay, so Aaron is Team Bucky. I like how professional you are with your client, Mr. Irving. I like it. And Jordan, are you on the Chase Brown side?
Absolutely. I'm calling them on behalf of my client, Mr. Brown.
Okay. Thank you, Jordan. I got one more caller on the phone here. Jay from Los Angeles. Jay, are you Team Bucky or are you Team Chase Brown?
I'm with the Bucky.
Okay, Jay's with the Bucky crew. Okay, if I could have Jay and Jordan please mute your phones and let me go over to Aaron. Aaron, please make your quick opening statement and try and convince this court that your client Bucky Irving is the better of these two individuals for 2025. Go ahead.
Yeah, let's start by saying that Rachaad White was the number one coming into the season. He said, "Hold my Gatorade. I'm going to step in. I'm going to finish the season with 8.3 yards per reception and 5.4 per carry." And I'll say this. You know, people talking about, I don't like how there's Rachaad White in the backfield. Look, he did this with Rachaad White in the backfield, and we're still comparing the two numbers. And I will say, top this off, on the rest of my case after this and listen to everyone else. Liam Cohen came out today and said they're all in on the run. And everyone knows they're not talking about Rachaad White.
That's it's all good points. Honestly, the first court session yesterday with London and BTJ started off a little shoddy. We didn't have any prepared counsel. There was no facts being presented. People just came in and said, I like AJ, or I'm sorry, BTJ more because he's nice. Okay, let's go over to Jordan. Jordan is arguing for his client Chase Brown. You heard what the I guess they're both defense. The other defense said about his client. What say you, Mr. Jordan, about Chase Brown? 30 seconds, go.
Chase Brown also came into the season as a number two or the coach wanting him to be in a committee. He said commit to me instead. He went ahead and carried that workload after Zach Moss went out and did a phenomenal job finishing as the RB10. He actually reminds me of last year's Kyron when he came in and started taking about 90% of the workload and is in also a high-powered offense just like the Rams. A lot better than the Bucs. I can't say that the Bucs aren't great because they are in the playoffs, but we know what the Bengals are capable of. The touchdown capability is through the roof. Chase Brown definitely made the most of his opportunity.
Now, I do have to interject here real quickly as the judge and jury and executioner at the end of the day of this whole entire thing. I mean, Joe Burrow's QB2, which is absolutely remarkable, to be honest with you. I mean,
Mashed potatoes!
Joseph Burrow. Yeah. People got Burrow and they didn't even know it. Baker's QB4 from a fantasy perspective. So at the end of the day, like, can we really say what you said, much better offense or whatever your words were? I'll have to look at the transcript, but I don't know that we can really claim that this offense is more conducive to fantasy football scoring than this offense. There's a lot to go around on both sides. I'm just going to say, like, you know, I think there's an equal argument here. Yeah, Burrow outscored Mayfield, and their rush attacks were both phenomenal. I just don't know that I would draw that conclusion. I just want to omit that from the record because that was an inaccuracy. Jordan, any
Fair enough, Your Honor. Fair enough, Your Honor.
All right, hold strong for me. Jay, let's hear your argument for Bucky. Go ahead. Jay just hung up on the court.
Wait, Smitty, was this a 2-on-1 in the first place?
We don't need your hate mask coming back now. Take a big lap.
I can't believe the disrespect of Jay to bounce on the court. Didn't say bye, didn't say, can I get a potty pass? He just left. Jay, you're off. You're off the squad, bro. Josh Baker just called in. Yes, it was 2 against 1. We were waiting for another. But now it's 1 against 1, and we need to find out. Josh, you're an expert witness. You're not a council member. We now have got Aaron versus Jordan. That's it. Or was it Jordan? I think it was Jordan. Yeah, Aaron versus Jordan. Those are the 2 council members. I've cut it off. You're an expert witness. What have you witnessed, Josh, that makes you think that you have an answer for this? And do you swear, real quickly, do you swear to tell the truth and only the truth? So help you, fantasy gods?
Sir.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, I swear on the fantasy. I'm going with Bucky on this one. I think he's a better player. He grades out better. I think the offenses are similar. I didn't look into the schedule too much. I think Bucky's a better player.
But what evidence do you have? You come in as an expert witness. You can't just say you like someone better. Like, what is your argument?
It's the PFF. He grades out better, Pro Fantasy Football Focus. And I think, he's going to continue to get more and more of the workload. He's a much efficient runner over the guy.
What evidence do you have of that, though? You're still spitting out what seems to be hyperbole.
Pro football.
Okay, you keep saying that, but we keep saying that. But give me something else. Give me something else. You've got a runner in Chase Brown that averaged 4 yards per carry. He pulled in 4 receiving touchdowns. He's more involved in the receiving game than Bucky. And you're saying he's better. He's better. I'm just saying, give me some facts.
He gets more. He breaks more tackles. He creates more yards.
Does he break more tackles? Does he?
On yards over expected. Better yards over expected. And he started taking the passing role and a lot more snaps over Rashad White as the season went on. Chase Brown, he took the lead role when Zach Moss got hurt. I don't think he's going to continue to have the same workload. I believe he'll have more competition.
What brings you to that conclusion? I don't mind arguments in favor, but when you tear the other side down, you got to bring facts to that. You can say you like Bucky all you want, but what on earth makes you as an expert witness? I'm about to throw this witness out. What makes you think that he's going to get less work? Okay, you keep spitting out. You keep spitting out these other websites or other shows' numbers. You're. What about, hey, the fantasy football show says, what are you doing calling in? I don't care about PFF. Okay, go ahead, expert witness Travis Rowe. Travis, you witnessed something. You're coming forward. Please put your hand up. You swear to tell the truth and only but the truth, so help you. Go ahead.
I do. In terms of, grading out measurables and stuff, I mean, Chase Brown is bigger, faster, stronger. Better 40 time, vertical, bench, all that stuff. He graded out better.
Okay, hold on. Let's measure this up.
He also showed.
Let's hold on. Your
objection.
Your Honor wants to double check the facts here. 5'10", 210 for Chase Brown. 5'10", 210. Bucky Irving is 5'10", 195. That is correct.
Your Honor, my client is 211. You missed a pound.
He's 211.
211, sir. After dinner.
211? What in the hell are you doing here? 211? He's 2'11"?
He's 211
Way
pounds, Your
too
Honor.
aggressive.
Okay.
Especially after you eat defenses for
He's
lunch.
195. You can't fudge more than almost 15 pounds. Or 12 to 15. You can't fudge that. I'm sorry. Not on my watch. Yeah, no, you're trying to fudge like what? Like 16 pounds? Is that what you're trying to do to this court? He's listed as 195.
You said Chase Brown was 210.
Oh,
He's
okay.
211.
I don't know who's talking. Chase Brown. Okay, 211.
I'm sorry. This is
okay.
This is defendant Jordan.
Okay,
This
yeah.
is Attorney Jordan.
Okay, we'll allow that. We'll allow the 1 pound. That makes sense. But Bucky,
Thank you, Your
let's
Honor.
go over to Aaron. Aaron, do you have something to say for yourself? Your client's weighing in at 195. Are you responsibly feeding this man?
I will say the only thing he does eat is defenses, so I think
That's good.
That's all we really need
That's good.
in regards to fantasy.
He eats defenses. I like it. That's good. That's good evidence. I like that. All right, Travis. I'm sorry. Go ahead. You were giving testimony about what you witnessed.
I was just pointing out, because he was talking about grading out, which, you can look at it a million different ways, but in terms of measurables, just size, strength, all that. And then we saw people always talk about workloads. We saw that he can carry the ball 220 times this year. He did it in college as well. So it's not a question of workload. Chase Brown can be the number one guy. I think he said that he doesn't think he'll keep getting the same workload, but I mean, there's no reason he wouldn't. And really, if you look at it, Zach Taylor was barely using him. It took Zach Moss getting hurt for him to actually get a shot.
Now, is that a concern for anybody though? That it took that for him not to see this, to not feel it, to not. Is anybody
Not
concerned?
that he's shown it.
Okay.
Now that he's shown it, I don't think so.
Now, Rashad White.
I mean,
Rashad White is still in the picture.
Rashad White never got hurt.
Rashad White's still in the picture, though. I'm not saying he's taking much lately. 3 carries, 6 carries in week 16, week 17. But the weeks prior, week 15 and 14, when Bucky was really tearing it up, there was a little stint where... Oh, hold on. He had 17 carries and 15 carries, Rashad White. Can Jordan explain this? What happened? Why was the anti-client getting 17 and 15 carries in weeks 14 and 15? Jordan?
You're asking why Bucky Irving was getting 15 and 17
No,
carries?
why was Rashad White getting that kind of workload? Where was your client?
I am counsel for Chase Brown, sir. I cannot explain
I'm sorry.
why this was happening to my
Okay, my bad.
I
Your Honor is getting
I have an
confused.
answer, Your
Aaron,
Honor.
go ahead. Aaron, go ahead. I'm sorry. You guys were just recently assigned.
Maybe because Bucky is fragile. I don't know, Your Honor.
I got an answer for this.
Bucky got hurt in week 14.
Head coach Todd Bowles was retarded and put.
We don't.
Objection, Your Honor.
Who said that word? Who said that word?
Objection, Your Honor.
You can't look.
He put him into a special teams play in garbage time, and he got hurt.
Was that Aaron? Aaron, you can't use that word.
No facts. He's got to go with it.
Aaron,
Facts.
you can't use that word in today's day and age, Aaron. You just can't.
Oh, restarted. Got it.
You're removed from the
Your
case.
Honor.
Hold on. He's removed from the case. Hold on a second. He's removed from the case.
Finish him.
Your Honor, I'm gonna need you to write down your attorneys and keep them straight, please.
Hold on.
That's all I ask.
Don't
That's all I
disrespect Your Honor. I had to get rid of. I had to relieve Aaron from his duties. So Bucky now needs an attorney. Can we get a replacement here? Can somebody dial in that I trust to take over the Bucky? This is a debacle. Bucky has no attorney right now because Aaron decided to open up his trap and say something very disrespectful in today's day and age. Hold on here. Let's see who this is.
Your Honor, these Bucky representatives.
Jordan,
Bucky
you're about to get
witnesses
relieved
are-
too. Hold on, Jordan. 609 caller, what is your name and where are you calling from?
I'm Vinny from New Jersey.
Vinny, I need you to become the new attorney for Bucky Irving. Is that okay?
No, that's completely fine. That other guy, he was part of our firm, but he will no longer be with us.
Thank you. I appreciate you letting him go for that. Give me your final argument. Unfortunately, you've been thrown to the wolves here. Why Bucky over Chase Brown? Closing statement, 30 seconds, go. This is it.
Closing statements, why Bucky should be better, why Bucky is better than Chase Brown. My client has done an extraordinary job at displaying what he can do. He's got a better offensive line than Chase Brown. I don't know if you've noticed, Smitty, but the Bengals' offensive line has not been good. You've seen guys like Zach Moss get hurt. You've seen Joe Burrow go down multiple times. This is a major problem. So we can guarantee that Bucky will be fine. Bucky will be extremely efficient behind this offensive
I like
line.
him.
And because of that, I believe that there is more of a safety blanket on that Bucs offense than there is on the Bengals offense. You should
Okay, yeah. I don't know. I felt like you started to come strong, but they're just, it sounded more like a lot of I like him, he's better. All right. Hey, hang tight real quickly. Vinny, hang tight. Let me go over to Jordan. Jordan, you're unfortunately going to be second-hand counsel here for Bucky. You got 15 seconds to argue in favor for Bucky. Go.
I am Chase Brown.
Jordan, you're out of here.
Sorry.
Finish him.
God, we can't keep anything straight here. Aaron from LA, you are now the Bucky attorney, lead attorney.
No. That's not why
No!
I called. That's not why I called. I'm calling to say I would like the two attorneys from either side to answer my question.
Okay, well, we don't have any.
That might be a problem.
Go ahead and ask your question. You've got 30 seconds to ask.
Well, I think this is a way that will make them think about it a little bit differently. Take Bucky Irving, take Chase Brown out of the situation they're in, and put them, say, like on the Ravens. Replace Derrick Henry.
Are you
put
saying,
them and replace Bijan? Who would you choose to do that?
Are you asking the councils to cross streams?
I'm not sure what that
Objection.
is.
Like in Ghostbusters? Look.
No, I'm saying like
I know
who do you really think is the better running back?
Okay, but here's the problem with that. Okay, you can't take situation and separate it from player. So at the end of the day, if we're talking about talent, we got to ask ourselves Chase Brown where he is versus Bucky where he is. It's a great exercise, and I do think that that's a solid way to kind of say who's more talented. So if we're trying to say who's the better physical specimen of a player, that's a really good.
Okay, I'm wrong then.
So let me say this. Let me say this, Aaron. It's a good question. If I was to answer that question, I would say Bucky Irving put your earmuffs on if you're Chase Brown. Bucky Irving by far is the better running back from a talent perspective.
Miles.
I don't know about country mile. Maybe I'll dial that back. But Chase Brown is such.
Okay, but I also am veering
I support
towards
country mile
in this entire thing, but it could be because I just am like you have pushed Bucky on me. So.
Well, but I think I've equally shoved Chase Brown down everybody's throat at the same time. So. All right, Aaron, appreciate your expert witness.
Really great, and I'll go.
Thank you for your testimony. Appreciate it. Okay.
I'll call back later.
Thank you. Okay, let's see here. Before we close this case out, Travis, did you have a rebuttal for that exercise that Aaron suggested, crossing streams? I think at the end of the day, we still got to keep them in their situations. If we're trying to say talent-wise, kind of like when you say Emmitt Smith, Barry Sanders, who is the better physical specimen? Barry Sanders by a country mother freaking mile. But guess what? Arian Foster.
Can you really?
Arian Foster, Jamal Lewis, Emmitt Smith. They are all just as good a fantasy options as Barry. Like so you got to be careful to play that game if you're trying to. What's the goal of the exercise? Is the goal to say who's the better player for 2025 fantasy? Well, hold on a second. The better player for 2025 fantasy, you can't play that game. It's a fun game to play, but you can't sit here and go, what if we swapped them or did that? Because That's not the case. We don't care about that at the end of the day. We want to ask who's scoring more fantasy points in 2025. Go ahead, Travis.
Well, I'm not so sure that you can definitively say that Irving is like far and away the better guy in a, like if they were both on the Ravens. I don't know if you can say that. I don't know how we could, because I mean Chase Brown at the end of the day is, you know, as fast, as quick, all those things. You can carry the load. But one thing I was going to say when you were talking about comparing Rachaad White and all that, another thing you have to remember is that for next year, Irving, I think he'll get plenty of pass catching work, but he may not get as much as people think, because one, Rachaad White will still be there. Two, for a while, Godwin was hurt and Mike Evans was hurt, and it was down to, you know, Otten and McMillan, and so if they have a full room of pass catchers, it's not going to be quite as much.
Godwin is a free agent.
Rachaad White
Objection. Godwin's a free agent.
McMillan, though. McMillan's there. Look what McMillan was doing. He slides right in.
Yeah, I do think McMillan slides right in. But McMillan's been there. So I think what we're seeing at the end of the day, we're seeing next year. So we're talking about, with McMillie having a really, really nice finish to the season. We're talking about 6 targets, or we'll just go reception. 6, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2. No touchdowns, though. I don't know why Bucky's so elusive and breaks so many tackles. I wonder why he hasn't pulled in a receiving touchdown this year. It's kind of wild. I will say this. My final thought on it in regards to, you know, trying to like determine if you swap them. It's a great exercise. I don't want Aaron to think it wasn't a good question. But if you take either one and put them on a different offense, that doesn't change really anything, because they still can throw to Chase Brown and make Chase Brown slightly more valuable than Bucky, and then it's the same output. I think if the Ravens example, the Ravens don't throw to the running back a lot, so I don't know that would make Chase Brown more valuable to go there anyway. But if we're just to say if we're just to say like, hey, who's the better, more physical talent? It is hard to answer that question, because you got to account for the receiving part. Maybe he's the better pure runner for sure. But this guy is that Alvin Kamara, that Christian McCaffrey-esque player. And while he's capable of it, he didn't really show it with 0 receiving touchdowns. He had 4. He had 4 touchdowns. He had 7 on the year. He had 4 receiving. And he had 7 rushing. So at the end of the day, Chase Brown outplayed him, outperformed him, outscored him. Granted, you know, we look at this Bucky Irving box here. I believe this is it right here. I think I put it in the corner. This is Bucky's. He didn't get any. No, this isn't Bucky. This is Chase Brown. I think this is Bucky right here. Bucky didn't get anything until week 9. You know, he really didn't get. I mean, he had the touchdown in week 5, but he wasn't used until week 9. So we extrapolate that data. I almost guarantee you that this is the receiving data. Where's my damn Bucky numbers? Hold on. I think this is them. Yeah, this is them. This is the Bucky rushing. So if you take Bucky's week 10 numbers on, so San Francisco on, I almost guarantee you that these numbers at least are right in line, if not slightly above Chase Brown, if you extrapolate week 10 on. It's hard to extrapolate numbers and play that game, but this is a close call.
Yeah.
This is a really close call. I'm leaning toward calling this a mistrial. And the reason I call mistrials is when I don't think there's a clear one side didn't win the case. I can't literally crown somebody the winner of the case. I have to call a mistrial.
You know what?
Unless somebody can convince me otherwise with some really good argument. Go ahead, Travis. Then whoever spoke right now, was that Josh or who was that said? Who was that?
That was Josh.
Okay, Josh, hang tight. Travis, real quickly, 10 seconds.
No, I was just going to say, I think you might be right on the mistrial, because both of them, it took a certain amount of games until they were like that all-encompassing full go back.
Yeah.
Where, you know, I want to see them both for a full season in that role. Where unless the teams drafted someone big or bring someone in, they should be next year. And I think Rachaad White doesn't matter. I've said before, I think Rachaad White helps Bucky Irving in a lot of ways.
I will say this: if I'm leaning into my soul and trying to find an answer, or I go to the mountaintops and I wait for an answer, I have a feeling that if they got fed the exact same massive volume, I think it'd be really close. But I for some reason I feel like Bucky would come out on top. But I love both of them so much, and I think because they're slightly different players, it makes it impossible to grade. Because at the end of the day, look at this. This guy played since week 4 at a pretty strong pace. But then my argument for his receiving numbers not being up to par, and this is what I argue here. These are Chase Brown's receiving numbers. He was very, very utilized in the receiving game, but not until week 9. So can we really say that this guy was going full go until from week 4 on? We can't, because he was only getting half of his work. So it's so hard. Like, he's such a productive receiving.
When Zach Moss got hurt.
Yeah, I think they both didn't. He got a little more action and consistency running the ball before week 9, but they both didn't really get fully unlocked until week 9, 10. And they both exploded. So let me go over to Josh real quick. You got 10 seconds, and I got to close this case.
All right, yeah, I like Bucky. Another reason would be he had over an extra yard per carry. 8 of his first 9 games, he had 10 or less carries. So Zach Moss got hurt. It was like week 4. Chase Brown started getting more work, and then reception-wise, they were only separated by 8 receptions. I know Chase Brown had more touchdowns.
At 4, Irving didn't have any. Let's word it properly in this courtroom. He didn't have more. He had 0.
But I feel like that's almost like we'll have positive regression more likely, because they were only separated by 8 receptions, kind of like a Trey McBride, lesser version of that. Touchdowns or ball with tool,
There is something to say about about yards per carry being better for Bucky. Bucky had
for an extra yard. It would make sense to try to get somebody.
I got you. I got you. Okay, Josh. Okay.
I know.
5.49 yards per carry for Bucky. 4 yards per carry roughly for Chase Brown. More yards per. Josh, you're in contempt, Josh. You keep talking over, Your Honor. Sorry. You're out of here.
Finish him.
That's the significant more yards per carry and catch, clearly more productive per touch. Except for then you say, well, what about the damn touchdowns? At the end of the day, if this man's better per yards per carry, better per yards per catch, better, more efficient, but this man is catching more touchdowns and running for the exact same number, 7, but pulling in 4, you can't say he's more efficient because he's doing it just in a different category. At the end of the day, this is a complete mistrial. And I don't think anybody in their right mind, even though the comments are going to be littered with, it's not even close, it's Bucky. Then the next comment, it's not even close, it's Chase Brown. That proves it to me. Just read the comments after this video. Read it for days, 7 days, 10 days, a month. There'll be nothing but contradictory arguments. This is a mistrial. It's over. This is dead even. There's no way.
Your Honor, Commissioner Speak.
The trial's over. Who's this talking? Knapp?
Vinny.
No. Who said, Your Honor? Who's talking to me just now? Who was that?
Me.
No, it wasn't. No, go ahead. Whoever said, may I speak? Go ahead.
Wouldn't Rachaad White's inefficiency and Godwin becoming a free agent make a case that Bucky would be more involved in the receiving game for the 2025 season?
Not really. Not really, because Godwin was out of the picture. Bucky got unleashed in week 9, and Godwin was already out of the picture. So no.
But they have to be more aware, the Bucs offense at this point, that they do have a gem on their roster.
Maybe, but the Bengals might be more aware too. I mean, it just kind of. I would just say that they're both in equal positioning to get the same work they're getting at the tail end of the year. I don't know that we want them getting more work anyway. we don't want them to get overutilized. They're both producing effective numbers and carries and touches. Okay, hit me with thank you, appreciate your comment. Let me go to Nap real quick. Nap, you got 15 seconds.
Yeah, I actually got the same kind of argument for Chase Brown.
Nap. I don't know what. Sit up straight and address the court without talking into your armpit.
Okay.
There you go.
I feel like Chase Brown would be the guy because just like the gentleman just said about Godwin missing the year and Bucky might go up, I think that same thing could be said for Chase Brown about T. Higgins potentially leaving and creating.
See, it's like this. Look, that's why it's a mistrial. There's arguments on all sides, but then the other side's going to say T. Higgins is going to get kept. Joe Burrow's going to so. There's definitely arguments to be made on both sides. This is why it was a complete, utter mistrial. Thank you.
One more thing though about this. Would you so say well it's a mistrial, but let's just say Chase Brown won. Would you take Chase Brown over Achane next year?
No.
Would you take either one of them over Achane next year?
If it depends on what happens with Miami. I think if you ask me, and I was here I'm the arbitrator of the evidence that was presented to me, and then I do have some sway. This is a corrupt court. But I would say, like, if you ask me if the volume is there for both of them, I lean toward Bucky. The concern, though, is the volume's for sure going to be there for Chase Brown. And I'm not saying that I have much of a reason to believe the Bucs will dial anything back, but there's nobody else in Cincinnati that's going to take anything from Chase Brown. I don't believe Rachaad White will reclaim anything, but I feel like he's still a little bit more of a gnat that's flying around just pestering. Like, he's still there. He's thorn in the side a little bit. So if you promise me they would both get top 7 to 10 running back touches, I believe Bucky would excel over Brown by a little bit, just a little bit. But I think his situation is quietly a little bit better. His talent's quietly a little bit better. And for that reason, they're dead even for right now, for the pros and cons. Bucky is just such an untapped monster. Like, this guy right here, Chase Brown, he reminds me of a guy that you would draft at 12, maybe even 11 to 18 his entire fantasy career. Like, he's going to bounce up and down. This guy may not get used as much as you want, but he's got the ability to be a top 5 to 7 overall pick. It's just a matter of, will he get the volume? Probably will. And will he continue to just be steady Eddie second round material? This guy's got first round potential. All right, hold on. Nap, I got to let you go because I got too much sound. I got sounds all over the place. Jordan, you got 10 seconds. I'm hanging up on you. Go, Jordan. Last thoughts on this. Go.
Your Honor, for that reason, you just said Chase Brown is for sure to get all the volume. Like somebody just mentioned, Sean Tucker is also on the roster who showed something this year. I just know in fantasy football, volume is king, and that's guaranteed for Chase Brown next year. Also Bucky Irving, but not as much as Chase Brown. He's not going to get any touchdown vulture from Joe Burrow or from any backup running back.
I would also say this though.
Had a career year with the touchdown. Go ahead.
I'd also say this. I'd say that I think Baker will repeat. Baker's sold. I'm sold on Baker right now. But having Baker, the Bucs, the situation return usage wise, them losing Godwin, what do they do with that? Do they bring him back? Like, there's a little bit of uncertainty here that just, you wonder about the volume. That's all. That's the only concern. And it's not even a big concern. It's just all things are equal. It's a little bit of a concern that makes them even. The concern makes them a wash. The concern makes them dead even. Without the concern, he would vault above. But the concern is more on the Irving side, not much. It's just enough to push it over the edge that it makes him dead even. Because Chase Brown, there's no concern. There's no volume concern. But I do believe Bucky is the more superior physical specimen. By not a lot, but by enough.
I can agree with you at that. When he runs, you know he's going to break away at some point. Lastly, I would just say I had both of these guys on my team as a pickup. And throughout the last few weeks of the season, week 10 on, I could never take Chase Brown out for Bucky. I know what Bucky was capable of, but I had Kyron and Barkley in my other two spots, and I was always fighting in that flex for Bucky or Chase Brown. I would always go Chase Brown because of the volume reason. The Bucs have a good passing offense to where they pass to their back, but he's splitting that with Rachaad White, which is what takes me off of him because Chase Brown doesn't have a running mate that will take away his carries, his touchdown opportunities, or his targets. He's the only one that had 11 targets out of the two.
Look at
one game.
Look at their numbers: 26.7 in week 9, 21, 19, 19, 24, 26, 13, 13. That is Chase Brown. Bucky Irving. Bucky Bucky 17, 26, 27, 2, 13, 18, 23, 16. I mean, they both were phenomenal. Running back 7, 3, 1, 5. Hold on a second, bro. Hold on a second. 7, 3, 1, 5, 9. But Chase Brown did have a little bit more consistency because he was only outside the top 10 one time from week 9 through 17. He was running back 4, 3, 9, 10, 5, 5, 23, 13, twice. So it was a little bit more consistent, but again, it's a complete wash right now. Even Steven mistrial. Got to go, Jordan. Appreciate you. Thank you very much. Let's see here. We got Aaron. You got 10 seconds. I'm sticking to the 10 seconds though. I told Jordan that he talked for 8 minutes.
That's fine. All I want to say is that for the next debate, because this one seems to be hung the jury, as it said, that it should be for the MVP. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson.
Okay, we'll look into that one. That could be a decent one. That could be a decent one.
And if it's not the quarterbacks, we could go Saquon.
Okay. We'll look into doing an MVP. We'll look into doing an MVP voting.
It's happening right now. Like, we need to do it. Yeah.
Okay. Appreciate it. Thank you, Aaron.
Bye, City.
Thank you. Okay. Vinny, you got 10 seconds. Go.
I agree a lot with what you said. I believe Chase Brown and Bucky are very similar to each other. At the end of the day, it's going to be ADP, which is going to determine how we draft these guys on draft day. But
well, as I started the case, and Aaron, that was a good idea. You laughed like as if I dismissed it. I wasn't trying to dismiss the idea. This is more for 2025, the fantasy football court. But I think we should have a potential. We could do a one-off MVP voting type of thing. It's not a bad argument or bad show to do. So it's good. I like that, Aaron. I appreciate that. What did you just say, Vinny?
I said that at the end of the day, these two running backs are very similar to each other. So it's going to really just come down to ADP.
Oh, ADP. Okay, yeah. Well, the thing about that, though, bro, as I said from the top of this court case, from the very beginning, in the first minute, is their ADPs are probably dead even. So this makes this argument very clear-cut and easy to argue. I think if we're arguing like Lamar versus Bucky, now you got a positional need, wrench thrown into the mix, and it becomes a really tough debate. The fact that these two guys are probably projected, at least early on, to go at the same ADP makes it very controlled. But yes, if their ADPs start to separate, then it becomes a different argument. And then there's pros and cons. All right, yeah. Vinny, appreciate you. We'll see you later, bro. Aaron, you got 10 seconds.
Have a good one. Yeah, I just want to say that it didn't take an injury for Bucky to shine on this offense. Travis said earlier that the Rachaad White's going to be there next year. We don't know that. Look at Bucky's tape, the dude's a highlight machine, and there's a 15-point difference in his PFF grade.
Rachaad White's contract, though, let me pull that up, because I don't know that you can sit here and say that they're going to get rid of him. He signed a 4-year, $5.3 million contract with the Bucks in May 2022.
Why not trade him when you got Bucky?
But there are not a lot of trades in the NFL in regards to running backs. I mean, he would be a pretty attractive running back to trade, but then I'd ask you, why would you trade a really good backup like that? It doesn't cost you a whole bunch in 2025, and this is his final year. He's an unrestricted free agent in 2026, so he's not
No, I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying we don't know if he's going to.
Yeah, but his base salary, bro, $1 million. His dead cap is $227 million. Or sorry, $227,000. He's nothing on that.
I will say, because Liam Cohen is in the talks of the head coaching role, if he does leave, I would start to question if the production is the same. So there is that, but I think the dude's a stud and he's going to perform anywhere, any coach.
Yeah, I mean there's a little bit of concern about change and all that, but we'll see. All right, appreciate you, Aaron. Thank you. Marsman, rock out. You've got 30 seconds to make a case since you weren't here in time for court. We'll let you slide. We'll make you wear an ankle bracelet for the rest of the show. Go ahead and plead your case. I would love to hear what your thoughts are, even though the case has been closed.
Right, we know both of them are elusive, but I like Bucky for the elusiveness, and I feel he was already in a good trend, even though he wasn't even getting all the carries and all the action. But as far as me, I would go with Bucky.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate you. And KJV, what are your thoughts, real quickly?
Hey, for me, it's Chase Brown.
Okay.
Because there's a couple of red flags when it comes to Bucky Irving. For me, at least. I feel like Chase Brown is the more durable running back. And, Bucky was not as durable this season, even though they had similar numbers.
Well, why do you say that? Why do you say that though? Because he missed the one. I mean, he really just missed.
Yeah, but he showed up on the injury report more often.
Okay, that's right. I mean, it's an argument. Chase Brown missed.
Yeah,
time though, right at the end, at the end though, Bucky only missed. Bucky didn't actually miss a game though. He didn't actually physically miss a game. Chase Brown did. So I don't know, bro.
I mean, that
you might have just opened. You might have just opened the door to an argument against him. He's burying his client.
Chase Brown's more durable.
I mean,
I think Chase Brown is more durable.
We got to see. Yet to be seen.
Yeah, I don't. What was Bucky Irving?
When it comes to the PPR standpoint.
Let's look at Bucky Irving's.
If you're playing in a PPR league, for me, it's going to be Chase Brown. And all these arguments about what receivers are going to be there, I think those you shouldn't be adding that to the equation, because just because Godwin's leaving, they still have McMillan. And just because T. Higgins is leaving doesn't mean, or if he leaves or not, doesn't mean that Joe Burrow isn't going to feed somebody else. So, it seems like Joe Burrow favors Chase Brown when he's looking for his check down. When it comes to Bucky Irving, you got running back.
Yeah,
who are breathing down Bucky Irving's neck, trying to get those touches.
But you got to also take into account that he's getting more rushing yards and such. I mean, he really did all of his damage in a short period of time, bro. He had 1,033, and he really didn't get massive carries until week 10 against the Niners. So you extrapolate this data, and again, it's a dangerous game to play, extrapolating data, but this is a pretty significant sample size. So let's go 13 carries against San Francisco, 12, 25, and then he did get hurt here. Only got 4 carries. I'm going to take that game out in a biased way. Just take it out and put 15, 16, 20, and 19. And divide that by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games. So divide that by 7 games. That is 17 carries a game is what he's averaging. And then multiply that by, we'll call it 5. What do you have? 5 point whatever yards per carry. 5.49. So times 5.49 yards per carry. That is 94 yards a game times 17 is 1599. So he was on pace for 1599 rushing from week 10 on. That's that. So when you say, and I'm not saying everything you said about Chase Brown isn't true. More PPR upside potentially. Joe Burrow looks from a ton, but when you factor in the imbalance of the rushing yardage and production, it makes it even. You know, he's more of a PPR guy, sure. Bucky Irving, what if he gets more PPR work? What if they start? He's learning the game still. You know what I mean? Like, what if pass protection is something he really he's going to improve upon, and they're like, let's get this guy out there every down. Then all of a sudden, you know, he starts catching more passes and he becomes uber dangerous. So that's why it's an even argument. It's a dead even argument. Better PPR for now, better rushing between the tackles, you know, and that probably won't change.
Can I add one thing?
Yeah.
So another thing that I noticed too is that Chase Brown was facing tougher defenses against the run. You know, Bucky, if you look at their schedule, Chase Brown had more of a tougher schedule than Bucky.
Oh yeah, Carolina twice for Bucky.
That is true. If you look at actually I have it right here. If you look at the schedule column from week 10 on, look at the green names: San Francisco Giants, Carolina, LV, Chargers. But look what he did against the Chargers, though. Look what he did against the Chargers, though. 117 yards, 7.8 a pop. You know, so it's like he dominated no matter what. You go up here a little bit, tough Baltimore Ravens. He had 23 yards. I mean, it's a good argument to make, you know, but I don't know. Tough to say.
Yeah.
All right, got to go, bro. Appreciate you. Yeah, appreciate you. Rock out. Final thoughts.
Yeah, I think it's pretty close between both of them. I think it's the same way as with London and Brian Thomas Jr.
Yeah, it's pretty close. All right, thank you, Rock out. Appreciate you.
All right, cool.
Travis, final thoughts.
Yeah, I think he made a good point with the schedules, but at the same time, you have to realize that it's going to be the same thing. Like, that factors into, you know, fantasy output. Is that, you know, you might give Chase Brown a little bit more credit because he faces a tougher schedule, but when it comes to fantasy output, Bucky Irving has a better schedule, so that's a bonus for him in that sense too. It goes both ways, you know.
Yeah, definitely. That's why they're a wash right now for me, because just too many pros and not cons, but too many pros for each one that the other doesn't really share, and it's like they're both just fantastic.
Yeah, I'm excited to see them both, you know, with a clean start to a season.
Yeah,
being the guy, you know.
All right. I'll see you tomorrow.
Do you know what? Do you know which one we're doing next? You haven't decided yet.
No.
For next,
Nope.
fantasy
Maybe
course.
I'll leave it up to the Patreon if you guys want to be. Whoops.
Oh, good one.
Wrong button. Go to the Patreon, $10 a month. Cancel anytime. Maybe we'll decide in the Patreon. We're also make sure you stay signed up on the Patreon, because I'll be selecting, I think, 2 or 3 people from the Patreon to be in the Dynasty League Startup Draft, the official Dynasty League of the Fantasy Football Show. The winners of the Patreon leagues are all going to be in that league, so get ready for that. But I'll probably decide in the Patreon. I'll ask everybody their thoughts, and we'll come in and maybe vote on it. But all right, Travis, I'll see you tomorrow.
Yep.
Later. OG White, are you still here, bro? OG White Rice. Oh, God, he dropped a $20 holler. I didn't even see it until right now. OG White Rice, $20.
Alert. Super chat alert.
Absolute monster. Appreciate you. He says Chase Brown. OG White Rice, if you're still here, appreciate you. If you're watching later on the replay, I appreciate you. Navage, I'm sorry about the wait. Superflex 1.4 for London. Not enough, right? Yeah, I'd rather have London. You know, if London never bounced back and let's say Cousins finished out the year and, you know, let's say you never saw Penix Jr., like, we'd be questioning London's value. Like, now he's a top 5 to 10 wide receiver, so I'd definitely rather have London. QB hurts. Thank you, Navager. You still here? Appreciate you. Where's OG White Rice? Jimmy the Drunk, you still here? Bucky, 2025, Bay. Thank you, Jimmy. Appreciate you. Jimmy, if you're still here, let me know. Appreciate you. London or Garrett Wilson in Dynasty, how far apart are they? That's a good question. So much depends on the quarterback in New York. Until they get a quarterback, Penix Jr. is there in Atlanta, and we don't know who's in New York. So I'm going to say kind of a bit. I would say London's like 12 to 15 overall material right now. Is that too high or too low? What do you guys think in the chat? And then I think Garrett Wilson, I wouldn't take in round 2. I would say like 3rd rounder and a risky one at that until we know who his quarterback is. I like I like Garrett Wilson a lot, but he's kind of continued to disappoint us, and we can keep making excuses for him quarterback wise, situation wise, but like Garrett Wilson, you know, still hasn't really stepped up to be the player that he's supposed to be. I think he finished around 10 or 11, which is good, but I don't think I think at 10 or 11 that doesn't, to me, make him a 2nd rounder yet. He's very good. He's an amazing player. But I think I'd go London for right now. But, you know, let's say they get somebody amazing. Let's say they get Fields. Then all of a sudden I might say it's pretty close. All right. Appreciate you all. Jimmy the Drunk is here. Appreciate you, Jimmy. And I don't know if OG White Rice is in here. Let me see. OG White Rice, I'll remember to DM him and tell him about an hour on is when he can look for my response. All right, thank you guys for joining me for this episode of the Fantasy Football Court. We'll continue to do these all off season long. This will become a regular. I'm even going to put on my YouTube homepage a row on the homepage that'll have all the Fantasy Football Court shows, so you can rewatch them and find them easily. Thank you, Aaron, for your suggestion on the MVP. We'll probably do that. Smitty, you won first place. Can you do the Bijan video for me? You bet, Aaron. Here it is.
Hi, my name is Bijan Robinson. I like long walks on the beach. And, well, I also like scoring.
You know, a lot of people ask me to perform miracles on this channel. Smitty, make something amazing happen. And I say, you know what? I can. Watch this. Watch this right here. I'll take this and boom. And then out of nowhere, zoom in on this bad boy. Zoom in on that.
They laughed when we said he was about to be an unstoppable force for all to see. With Chase Brown.
Get
Get
buckied.
up, get down.
Buckied.
Bucky.
Oh, Bucky.
Yeah.